Welcome to Pharmacy View, Technology and Pharmacy Business podcast series, where we provide regular interviews with pharmacists and key industry people within the Australian pharmacy and associated industry. In each podcast, we look to discuss aspects of pharmacy operation and how technology is improving or interacting with each guest's current role or pharmacy-related business. I'm your host, Scott Carpenter, and today's guest is sponsored by Shopfront Solutions, leading the way in digital marketing and communications, providing a cloud-based platform for pharmacies to manage all of their digital messaging and print-based collateral. For more information on the Shopfront Solutions digital platform, simply go to the website at shopfrontsolutions.com.au. My guest today is pharmacist Yvette Anderson from the Spectrum Pharmacist. Welcome, Yvette.
Great to be here, thank you.
Likewise, I'm really looking forward to this chat today based on our interactions so far, which has all been virtual, not face-to-face, even though we live quite close to each other. I am looking forward to the day that we actually get to meet. But for listeners today that may not know you, who is pharmacist Yvette Anderson?
Yeah, so I, a very busy time-poor mother of three boys, grew up in Sydney and eventually been in pharmacy probably since I was about 16 years old. So I think I've worked out it's only been maybe less than 3 years that I haven't been actively involved in pharmacy, so it's a big part of my life. I graduated from pharmacy at Charles Sturt, which was a wonderful experience to do my degree in a rural environment. Since then, I've worked in probably most areas of pharmacy. I've done a lot of community work in Geelong predominantly, then moved into consulting. I'm an accredited pharmacist, so I do home medication reviews. I'm an asthma accredited pharmacist, and that came through one of my sons is a chronic asthmatic. I then moved into aged care, which was a really great experience to be able to put some of those clinical skills into place in a demographic that especially needs our help as pharmacists. And getting into those quality use of medicines was really important for me. But eventually I found myself drawn to hospital pharmacy, which is what I've done probably for the last decade. I've worked in 2 different states in Australia, both in public and private systems, and done a variety of things, but predominantly mental health, paediatrics, and a combination of medical and orthopedics.
A really good breadth of experience in a relatively short time in the scheme of things and across a couple of different states. So people listening today may recognise your name from your interactions either in Tasmania or here in Victoria, or, as we do know, from your work with PharmOnline AU as well.
Yeah, I'm really lucky to have joined with Anna Barwick, who's the director and creator of PharmOnline. So we stumbled across each other through LinkedIn, and she's become a great mentor to me and really helped me in my neuro-diverse space. Really fortunate to have met such an amazing pharmacist and person in general. That's
really good. And ultimately, that's how you and I interacted through the wonders of LinkedIn and this podcast and our pharmacy background experience. So that's about you, but I think you've got a really interesting story. And as we mentioned or spoke offline, I've got a little bit of experience in this, both personally, but also with some other friends. So talk to us about the Spectrum Pharmacist, how this came about, and we're going to work towards the technology that's in use in all of the facets of what you're doing today, but really interested in hearing about the Spectrum Pharmacist and your experience here.
Yeah, so the Spectrum Pharmacist I officially created in 2020, one of those COVID lockdown projects that finally got underway, but it's something I've been thinking about for at least 5 years. I have 3 boys, 2 of whom are neurodiverse. So my eldest and my youngest son. 2014, so my son was only 4 years old. He got diagnosed, which was then Asperger's under the DSM, which is now under the autism spectrum disorder. So 4 years old, Asperger's, ADHD, insomnia, and chronic anxiety. So our world completely changed then. And it's been, he's nearly 13 now. It's already been a little bit of a journey, and we've had some massive highs and some really horrible lows. And there's such a deficit in understanding and education, awareness, and even the inclusion for the neurodiverse space that even I, in the health professional industry, I had some knowledge, but we don't, even in pharmacy degree, you don't get a neurodiverse section of your degree. You go, there's a few ADHD meds and off you go. So I did a lot of learning myself. And then trying to overcome the stigma of having a son that had some extra challenges has kind of really directed my career as such as well, and I'm working a lot more in that space, that I decided to jump into the deep end and create the Spectrum Pharmacist to combine that lived knowledge that I've got, which is so very important, along with all my professional knowledge to try and help everyone else in that space.
From that perspective. And again, I've found or discovered through our interaction, your social media, your web page, this is the best way for other pharmacists who find themselves needing to look into this. This is the best way to get in contact with you, I would imagine. So how has that technology platform worked with you in the pharmacy space?
Yeah, so it's been really humbling, actually. Like I used to get a lot of questions from friends and family in regards to it. But once I started kind of singing and dancing the neurodiverse space, a lot of other pharmacists and health professionals have contacted me, and whether that's via email or LinkedIn or one of the many social media platforms that I'm on, and just kind of really asking those questions. And it can come down to sensory concerns of different brands of medications that most of the population will take for granted, that we just, oh, well, this brand's out of stock, we'll have something else. But for someone on the spectrum, that can be really, really difficult. So it's actually been really nice. I've had a lot of great feedback just saying how much they actually don't know about the neurodiverse space and where more education and awareness is needed. And then obviously linking in with Anna and PharmOnline. So I started with her in 2001, and it was a great platform since then that I can reach people that I wouldn't normally be able to reach. So obviously PharmOnline is a telehealth service, so you can contact a pharmacist 24/7, 365 from the comfort of your home. Or I've had someone call me. It was actually a mum. She'd just seen the pediatrician. She was in her car in absolute tears because she just got this overwhelming amount of information and she didn't know what to do with it. So I've spoken to people in their cars, and you don't need to go outside of your house, which can be really difficult when you've got young kids or kids that have those sensory concerns. So that telehealth option now is so very important, I think, in not only the rural remote community, but for a number of people with mental health conditions, along with many other things. So technology is definitely playing a bigger part in my role than what I probably would have originally thought.
As you and I spoke earlier on, I've not experienced the level to which you have and which you're now educating others on, but certainly as a parent with now 2 adult sons, we had circumstances that came our way, which, as I mentioned, the best thing I found at the time was that my wife and I actually went and got some counselling as well, which actually created our awareness and our understanding. And ultimately, now, we had that within our community, and this is possibly pre-mainstream technology as you know it today. But if it hadn't been available in our community, we could have been like many other parents that actually didn't understand, struggled to actually manage this whole environment that you've now able to help others with. And ultimately, the technology then opens this whole world to your knowledge and expertise as well. So how far around the globe have you gone in terms of communicating with people?
I've had quite a few people from New Zealand contact me, which has been great. I've got some friends that live there, so I think that might have come from them. But I've actually been contacted by people in America and in the UK. So it's something that without that technology would never ever happen. So and that's been really nice. Not only has it been just individuals, but also health professionals trying to get an idea of what other options are out there, what sort of practices Australian collaborative teams are using for those individuals on the spectrum. So it's been really humbling. I'm still learning. It is a lifelong journey. But yeah, really excited that these platforms can actually allow me to deliver the information to anyone and at any place.
I noticed from your website you are very clear that you're not a medical specialist in this arena, so there's kind of a limitation as to what guidance or expertise you will provide. But I'm sure, as I found it, and I'm sure as you're finding all the time, sometimes it's actually just about having someone to talk to that you can build trust with fairly quickly. And ultimately, that's one of the great roles that pharmacists provide, is this almost immediate trust. It doesn't matter whether you're standing behind the dispensing counter in the pharmacy or potentially with PharmOnline AU, there's this inherent trust in us that we've had through our families that the pharmacist ability to support people in the health environment is actually quite readily available and quite trustworthy, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. We pharmacists are our first line contact for so many people. And it is one of those industries that we have that huge levels of empathy for people. You know, I find myself an advocate for people coming into the hospital. EDs are not a sensory friendly place at all. And so that awareness of those additional needs is significant. So having someone on your collaborative team that is not only an advocate for that person, but can provide that lived experience and that knowledge is really important for everyone involved. And pharmacists are a massive part of that. And unfortunately, we're not seen in that space as much as I would really like. And that's where I hope the Spectrum Pharmacist will kind of make that difference. I'm very slowly making inroads, but it's going to be a long journey, but I am definitely full on ready to go about it.
You're now putting this out there for other pharmacists and other medical practitioners to contact you and talk to. So what kind of education training is available that you're participating in or that you can actually refer to others?
Yeah, so at the moment, the PSA have asked me to write some modules, which is going to be amazing. I'm finding it very difficult at the moment to kind of hone in on the really vital information because my head is just so full and I want to tell everyone everything. So that's probably the point of call there. There is, unfortunately, limited education models for pharmacists, which is something I'm trying to work on. The neuro-diverse squad, which is one of the projects I do within the Spectrum Pharmacist, I actually want to open up to health professionals. So the neuro-diverse squad is an invitation for individuals and their families, teachers, carers, health professionals, anyone really who's wanting to go on that journey. So you get an hour and a half with me and a special guest. So the next one is with a child psychologist. And we go through everything from diagnosis to what evidence-based practices are available within Australia, how to set some really good goals, which is so very important, building your collaborative team, obviously from a pharmacist side, a lot about the medications that are available. And I'm hoping to really connect with a lot of other health professionals and provide that information on specific topics and the best way that they can interact with their customers and patients within the community setting to try and elevate their level of understanding as well.
And I think that's a good point. The rate at which knowledge of this arena is coming at us is huge. Not only just from the Spectrum point of view, it's this whole inclusiveness around everyone in the community at this point in time. I'm actually quite excited about the next 2 to 5 years. I think things have been changing slowly, but now things are changing rapidly. We spoke about the fact that grandparents may not understand this because it was not something that they were aware of. No. They possibly had perceived naughty mates or friends. They potentially had naughty or perceived naughty children that they didn't actually understand what was going on. These days could be grandchildren that they don't understand because, again, they've lived their life. Not that I'm still learning every day and I love it, but the reality is that if you haven't been brought through that arena, then you actually don't necessarily understand it, and you have the ability to have the wrong perception very quickly. So one of the things, I guess, from your perspective is that technology is allowing your message and your story to get out at a faster rate of knots and potentially even faster than it was yesterday or last week or the week before. And I hope this podcast today actually helps you as well, because I certainly think, again, my own experience and some friends of mine as well in the pharmacy space, I think this is a really important area that we understand what's going on. So how do we get your message out from that perspective is quite important. You're obviously in the digital health space arena, I'm assuming, based on the picture that I'm seeing working from home. So is this the best way to contact you through this? Like if someone wanted listening to this today and wanted a little bit more information, how's the best way to get in contact with you?
If you want to send me an email or contact me through LinkedIn or social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, any of those is fine. You can go to the PharmOnline website and book a consult with me, or we have a 1300 Pharmy phone number that you'll get a pharmacist. But if you want to speak to me direct, it's better to book with me, and I certainly look forward to having those conversations.
This is a game changer in the arena, and I'm loving the fact that it's a pharmacist involved. If we looked at the pharmacy space, and I've just recently been to a pharmacy conference and APP earlier this year, is it likely that through the PSA or through these arenas that pharmacists will get to see more of you?
I'm really hoping so. I've actually put in an ethics application at the moment. So part of the neuro-diverse squad, I want to actually capture some data about the outcomes of having a pharmacist involved. And so we can kind of petition a little bit more, especially in the NDIS space. Unfortunately, at the moment, pharmacists are not part of the collaborative team under the NDIS. So it's only if within an individual's plan, if they have an option in there for further education, then I can certainly provide more education under a paid perspective for the NDIS. But I think having more individuals in the health space that are actually more aware of these conditions and what it means for their daily living is probably my most important point of call at the moment. It can be very overwhelming walking into a pharmacy. It's bright lights, there's lots of people, there's lots of noise happening. And unfortunately, there is still some stigma I've experienced myself when I've gone to pick up one of my boys' ADHD meds 2 days early, the full rigmarole, and I'm like, we need to have a little bit more understanding and compassion in this space. And that's what I'm really hoping for in these sorts of chats, and knowing that I come from a very practical space in that I've tried so many different things with my boys, and I can give you the goods and bads of very variety of practices. But having some more awareness and understanding is probably up the top of my list.
I get it. We need to have an understanding that for people that haven't had experience in this arena, they don't know about it. So we kind of help educate and help understand that.
No.
Again, there's so many situation examples that you see out in the community, in the environment, at the shopping centre, at the supermarket, and it's just too easy to judge until you actually realise and understand that what that mum or dad's dealing with is actually quite a difficult situation, and you need to have an understanding of that, or at least gain an understanding of that, because one day it could come your way and the shoe would certainly
100%.
be on the other foot. We want to get on to some of the technology platforms that you're using, but before we do, is there anything else within the Spectrum Pharmacist arena that we haven't chatted or that you wanted to throw in at this point in time?
I think in regards to education, just making sure people, and even pharmacists, when they read a study or they're looking on Google as such for information, to really take it with a grain of salt. Unfortunately, in this space, there are so many people that are probably spruiking things that aren't factual. There is no cure. It's not your parenting. It's not that your child is naughty. Having that understanding and that really clear lens when you look at information, I think is really important. Feel free to contact me and I'll try and set you on the right straight. I've had some really horrible messages come through saying, I believe that if we eliminate X, Y, there'll be no autism in the world. And I'm just like, oh, are we really still at that point in this day and age? So yeah, a good level of understanding would be really nice.
Hopefully from today we can widen your audience and information. And pulling this time together neatly, talk to me about some of the social media and technology platforms that you're involved with. That could be anything from LinkedIn through to the PharmOnline AU platform, so that just people are aware that this is the technology that plays in this space.
Yeah, so originally when I started the Spectrum Pharmacist, I was probably more looking to contact individuals and families. So I've got a website that needs some TLC, and then I've joined Facebook and Instagram, which I've really enjoyed. I've had people contact me from all over the world with different ideas, and which has been lovely. I really enjoy all those conversations. Then I moved into LinkedIn. There's a specific Spectrum Pharmacist page for that, which has been great for my learning. I get people who send me current literature and we have a chat about it, so it's a really nice, engaging experience. And then obviously with PharmOnline, we use Kovu, which is an online telehealth platform. Now, the great thing about Kovu is you don't need an account, you don't have to download anything. So it's literally just you go onto the PharmOnline website and book an appointment with me, and we send you a link and we're ready to go. So a big conversation like we're having today. I love that when people have their cameras on, but some people are uncomfortable with that, and that's fine. I completely understand that, but we can just have a chat over the phone or do it the way we are. And then we have the 1300 phone number through PharmOnline as well, and you can catch us pretty much anytime. There are some times, obviously today I am at home. This is my day off as such, but generally you'll find me at the hospital. There is after hours and weekend appointments available because I know that time is precious and we need to work around things. I've had people that have had to cancel at the last minute because something happens. I'm a mum, I'm human, I get that. That's not an issue at all. It's quite exciting. I've been invited to have a stall at the Digital Health Festival next year in Melbourne. I'm really looking forward to that, and I'll be able to get some more ideas in regards to the best way that I can get the Spectrum Pharmacist messages and connections out there. It's a really good space and welcome anyone from anywhere to have a chat.
In just wrapping up, what I've heard there is if you're a pharmacist listening today and you want some more information, go through either your LinkedIn page, business page, or your website. I've certainly started following you through Facebook and Instagram as well because they're the two arenas that my couple of businesses that work in. But if you're a parent, grandparent, potentially even the person looking for some more guidance or support, then PharmOnline AU, you can actually go in and book a specific appointment to chat with you at a point in time. So, Yvette, that's been a really good chat today. As I said, it's certainly an area of interest to me. It's not necessary for everyone, but then we've got to be understanding in that as well. Is there anything else that was on your list that you wanted to chat about today that we haven't been able to cover off?
I think we've covered a lot of great things. One of my biggest messages is you're right, the neurodiverse space is not for everyone. It is a very complex space, but I think if we can all have a little bit more knowledge and some awareness, a little bit more compassion would be probably the best messages I can get out to people. It's really important that we be mindful that everyone has their own challenges and we be very respectful for those things.
Thanks for your time today. It's been great to chat. We'll certainly include all of your contact and touch points in our show notes. It'll be part of the podcast anyway. I look forward to staying in contact and at some point in time when the waters have all receded and the place has dried up a bit, driving over and
have a coffee.
Yeah, grab a coffee with you. That would be great. Thanks for your time today. Thank you for listening today. Pharmacy View is a technology-focused podcast provided by Melbourne-based business Arian Technologies and Shopfront Solutions. Over the podcast series, our guests include pharmacists, retail managers, wholesalers, suppliers, and industry technology partners. If you would like further information on our podcast series or to participate in one of our episodes, feel free to send me a message or touch base through the Pharmacy View website, pharmacyview.com.au.